Well, if there's one thing I can say about the animation here, is that it really is a work of beauty. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about a brand new theatrical release, Belle. Before we begin, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it, or if you are planning on seeing it, and make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my content out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases, older films, hidden gems, and so much more on a near daily basis. But let's not waste any more time, and let's talk about Belle. This focuses on Suzu, a shy high school student living in a rural village. For years, she has only been a shadow of herself, but when she enters You, a massive virtual world, she escapes into her online persona as Belle, a globally beloved singer. This is written and directed by Mamoru Hosoda, who had also helmed a number of critically acclaimed films like Mirai, The Girl Who Left Her Time, and The Boy and the Beast, and was produced by Hosoda's own Studio Chizu, which he's been using to produce his movies since Wolf Children in 2012. And it's just starting to get an international release this month after premiering in Japan back over the summer. Now, I haven't seen any of Hosoda's other films besides Summer Wars in 2009, which I don't quite remember to be honest, but having heard so many great things about many of the other films, I love to go back and give them all a watch, as I found this to be an absolutely beautiful movie. If I had to describe this movie in one sentence, it would be Beauty and the Beast meets The Matrix, where it focuses on this connection between these two outcast characters, one of whom is misunderstood, but it also takes place in this virtual world where everyone has completely different identities. It gives us this unique blend of sci-fi and fantasy elements, since in this virtual world, people don't necessarily just take on another human form, as one of the primary characters is someone known as the Beast, or the Dragon. I saw the subtitled version and he was referred to as the Beast, but in the official description he's known as the Dragon. I'm not sure which one to go with, but I'm going to go with the Beast. And they can do things that they felt they were incapable of in the real world. Like a big plot point is Suzu in real life can actually sing, but due to being left scarred by the tragic death of her mother when she was young, it's left her unable to bring herself to sing. But when she steps into You and becomes Belle, she becomes the best there is. I liked how it kind of played into those themes of how we aren't the same person in real life as how we present ourselves on the internet, and how being out of the real world can make us feel empowered, sometimes for better or worse. But it doesn't approach those themes in this corny, cliched approach we've seen in other films that instead usually revolve around some sort of internet is bad theme. This takes that topic and uses it to channel deeper themes, such as the way we might process grief and how we cope with feeling isolated from others, especially because Suzu only has a few friends in real life and feels almost completely cut off from everyone else, and this is her way of standing out. And speaking of things that stand out in this movie, the animation is absolutely breathtaking, and by far this movie's strongest element. I really wish we got to explore the world of You even more than we did here, because each of the designs here were all gorgeous. Everything was bursting with color, and there was so much attention to detail in all the backgrounds, with some wide shots especially being the definition of cinematic. I also like several sequences that would show how grand in scale Belle's popularity would be, where we'd see text messages swarming the screen, or it would show these sequences where it's pictures of characters interacting that looked like something out of a video game screen. It was a really inventive way of pushing the narrative forward while also taking full advantage of this immersive, technological-based world. And regarding the tone, even though this is most certainly a drama, I did appreciate it channeled an energy we typically see in a lot of anime films, where it's a serious story tackling weightier themes, but it never shied away from using humor as a way of cutting the tension. And what I appreciated was that despite the fantastical nature of the story, the few jokes we do get here feel like they stemmed organically from simple character interactions, like someone getting embarrassed over a crush they have or trying to avoid someone. It never felt forced, and it was a good way of balancing out the heavier nature of some of the material. The film also dabbles a bit in the musical genre. Now, we almost never get anime musicals, and I wouldn't say this is a full-blown musical. Like, it's not filled with show-stopping numbers of characters randomly breaking into song to express their feelings. Though, it's worth noting, Hosoda did intend for this to be something in the vein of a typical musical, but due to Japan typically not having that culture of musicals, he decided against it. But he still made sure music was integral to this story, especially considering Suzu's big talent both in the real world and as Belle is as a singer. And what was so wonderful to see was how the film used characters singing to drive the story forward without necessarily using the same tactics seen in a typical musical, with some tender, heartfelt songs that added so much emotional weight to the story. As someone who's a big fan of musicals in general, I loved this against the grain approach it took to still channeling a little bit of energy of that genre while not technically being a musical itself. Now, while I thought this movie was great, I'd say my biggest issue involved the pacing, which was mainly due to the initial buildup between Belle and the Beast. Even though there are a number of sequences that took my breath away right from the start, I gotta admit, it does take a little bit to get you fully invested in anything beyond the visually stunning animation. Not that I found Suzu to be a boring character, because in fact, I actually found her to be quite compelling right from the start too. But the initial few interactions between her as Belle and the Beast weren't anything that I'd say initially grabbed me. Because the Beast is kept as a mostly mysterious character through the first part of the film, and while I understand her interest in trying to find out more about him, the amount of time she invests just didn't feel quite emotionally impactful, as we're still kept in the dark regarding who this character was, even in the virtual world. The interactions mostly felt like passing moments at first, and it just didn't seem to completely translate to someone spending so much time and getting wrapped up in his identity. So the shift in focus to him just wasn't initially clicking as much as all the other world building the movie was doing. I'd say though, as it moves along and the pieces of the puzzle are put into place, that's where things took a turn for the better. As everything ties together, the film manages to explore some considerably dark territory that was presented in a way that not only complemented Suzu's arc so well, but never felt emotionally manipulative, especially given the nature of certain reveals. And I was happy to see it all come together in an emotionally satisfying way, which is always a plus, as I'd much rather see a film end better than it began than the reverse. It's actually quite impressive how Hosoda pulls the rug from under you a bit. The way it presents itself, you're initially led to believe this is going to be a film focused maybe a little too much on spectacle and world building and be nothing more than a visually stunning genre piece with some character work thrown in there. But as the film goes on, it becomes apparent how rich this characterization truly is, and what I especially liked is how it uses its music and sci-fi fantasy elements to tell a deeply profound story, centering around heavier topics, and give us compelling character arcs, making the payoff completely worth it. Belle is one of the first great movies of the year. While some of its storylines don't quite grab you immediately, it's one of those films that's worth the time you invest in it, as it ends in a much better spot than it began, telling an emotionally resonant story that transcends its seemingly gimmicky premise. Add to that some breathtaking animation, tender musical sequences, and engaging world building that makes this nothing short of cinematic. Even if anime isn't necessarily your thing, I'd recommend still giving this a shot, as it truly was a wonderful time. Belle gets an 8 out of 10. So let me know, did you see Belle, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Was this one of your favorite anime movies? Do you want to see more from this creative team? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching everyone, and keep having fun with film.